Hello everybody, I'm José Cruz. I'm an enterprise architect and today I'll be talking about passkeys, why they're replacing MFA and how they actually work. Passwords plus a 6-digit code from your phone. That's been the standard for over a decade, and right now every major platform is racing to replace it with something called a passkey. Not a longer password, not another authenticator app, a completely different way of proving who you are. Today we're covering why this shift is happening now, what a passkey actually is under the hood, how the login flow works step by step, and what it actually takes to add this to a system you're responsible for. To see why passkeys are different, look at what came before. Passwords alone were a shared secret type, server checks it, done. When that wasn't enough, we bolted on a second factor, SMS codes, then TOTP apps like Google Authenticator, then push notifications to approve a login. Every one of those still depends on a secret or a code that can be phished, intercepted, or approved by a tired user who just wants the prompt to go away. Passkeys are the first step in this chain that removes the shared secret entirely. So why is this happening now specifically? 3 pressures landed at the same time. SIM swapping and SMS interception made phone-based codes a known weak point, and guidance bodies like NIST have steadily restricted SMS as an authentication factor. Compliance pressure grew too. Initiatives like the US Federal Zero Trust Strategy explicitly call for phishing-resistant MFA. And in 2022, Apple, Google, and Microsoft jointly committed to expanding FIDO passwordless support across their platforms, which meant the browsers and operating systems your users already have could suddenly do this natively with no extra app required. Here's the core idea. A passkey is a FIDO2 and WebAuthn credential built on public key cryptography, not a password, not a shared secret. When you create one, your device generates a key pair. The private key never leaves secure hardware, a phone's secure enclave, a laptop's TPM, or a physical security key. Only the public key is sent to whatever service you're signing up for. There's nothing secret sitting in that service's database for an attacker to steal because the private key was never there to begin with. Let's make this concrete. Signing into your Google account from a new laptop approved by your phone. 3 systems are involved. The browser on your laptop, which mediates through the WebAuthn API, your phone running the authenticator. That's the only thing that ever touches your private key. And Google's servers, the relying party, which only ever see public keys and signatures. That scan a QR code, approve on your phone moment, you've probably already seen signing into a new device. That's exactly this handshake. Let's walk through creating a passkey, say adding one to your Google account from your phone. Your phone's browser asks Google servers for a registration challenge and gets one back along with some account context. That gets handed to the phone's authenticator through Navigator Creators Create, which prompts you for Face ID or AF fingerprint. Once you approve, it generates a new key pair on the spot. The public key and an attestation come back through the browser to Google's servers, which verify the attestation and store the public key against your account. The private key never left your phone. Now here's the part you've probably already seen. You're on a new laptop, you click sign in with a passkey and the browser shows you a QR code. You scan it with your phone. Behind the scenes, your phone and laptop confirm they're physically near each other over Bluetooth. That's what stops someone from relaying this attempt in from across the internet. Your phone prompts you for Face ID or a fingerprint, you approve, and it signs the server's challenge with a private key that never left your phone. That signed assertion gets relayed back to the laptop, forwarded to Google, and checked against the public key already on file. If it matches, you're in no password was ever typed on that laptop at all. If you're the one implementing this, the passkey ceremony is only step 1. You'll need a WebAuthn relying party library on your backend. Options exist for most major languages, and a credential table that maps each user to potentially several public keys, since every device or security key they register is a separate credential. You still need a recovery path for a lost device because there's no password to fall back on. And the realistic rollout is additive. Offer passkeys alongside your existing login not as a hard cutover until adoption is high enough. For the architecture around it, the good news is your session layer doesn't change. You still issue a JWT or a cookie once the ceremony succeeds, exactly like after any other login. What does change is upstream of that. If you're using an identity provider rather than rolling your own auth, it needs to support WebAuthn. Most major ones now do. And this isn't just a UX upgrade. For teams under phishing-resistant MFA requirements, passkeys are one of the few methods that actually satisfies that bar because there's no code or secret to phish in the first place. 3 things worth taking away. First, passkeys remove the shared secret entirely, so there's nothing sitting in a database for a breach to expose. Second, this trend is being pushed by platform vendors and pulled by compliance requirements at the same time, which is why it's moving faster than previous auth changes. And third, adding this to your own system is a relying party integration project, not a re-platform. Just don't ship it without a real recovery path for the day someone loses their only device. I hope this video was useful to you. Drop a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.